The year is 1940, and Britain is being pounded by Axis forces in the east. The Far East forces of Japan have laid siege to Asia and the Pacific Islands. And isolationist and is avoiding all entanglement in the war.
Why are we determined to devote our entire industrial effort to the prosecution of a war which has not yet actually touched our shores? We're not a warlike people. We've never sought glory as a nation of warriors. We're not interested in aggression.
America entering the war seems like the only hope for the Allied forces. This is the reason many people believe that Franklin D. Roosevelt betrayed America. And isolationist and is avoiding all entanglement in the war.
Why are we determined to devote our entire industrial effort to the prosecution of a war which has not yet actually touched our shores? We're not a warlike people. We've never sought glory as a nation of warriors. We're not interested in aggression.
America entering the war seems like the only hope for the Allied forces. This is the reason many people believe that Franklin D. Roosevelt betrayed America. In 1940, Franklin D. Roosevelt was convinced that if the Americans did not join the fight soon, the British Allies would be crushed by the Axis.
Fundamental rights, including the rights of labor, are threatened by Hitler's violent attempt to rule the world. These rights were established by our forefathers on the field of battle. They have been defended at great cost but with great success on the field of battle, here on our own soil and in foreign lands, and on all the seas all over the world.
If all of Europe and Asia were under Axis control, America would not be in a good position. He knew that Americans did not want to fight in a foreign war, and if he forced them to do so, he would not be able to see the war out as the President of the United States.
The arms embargo is far too great a security to American peace to permit its surrender without a last-ditch fight.
You people who oppose war and dictatorship, do not be dismayed, because the warmongers and the interventionists control most of the avenues of propaganda.
Over 90% of Americans did not want to enter the war. So he and some naval intelligence officers devised a plan to provoke the Japanese and have them fire the first shot. Lieutenant Commander Arthur H. McCollum came up with these 8 actions that would provoke the Japanese. Number 1. Make an arrangement with Britain for the use of British bases in the Pacific, particularly Singapore. 2. Make an arrangement with Holland for the use of base facilities and acquisition of supplies in the Dutch East Indies, now known as Indonesia. 3. Give all possible aid to the Chinese government of Chiang Kai-shek. 4. Send a division of long-range heavy cruisers to the Orient, Philippines, or Singapore. 5. Send 2 divisions of submarines to the Orient. 6. Keep the main strength of the U.S. fleet, now in the Pacific, in the vicinity of the Hawaiian Islands. 7. Insist that the Dutch refuse to grant Japanese demands for undue economic concessions, particularly oil. 8. Completely embargo all trade with Japan in collaboration with a similar embargo imposed by the British Empire. And even before making these steps, he had a good idea of what they would shoot at. Franklin Delano Roosevelt knew just where the Japanese would attack: Pearl Harbor. He knew that it would happen whether we provoked them or not.
Today, December 7th,
1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
So why did he speed up the process by following the 8 instructions from the McClellan Memo? Well, the sooner the Americans entered the war, the better the chances would be for the Allies to win. The misconception that many people make is that Roosevelt provoking the Japanese put Pearl Harbor in more danger than it already faced. There is a theory that Roosevelt did in fact put them in more danger by holding back vital information received just before the attack. Ultimately, FDR and his advisors correctly predicted what would happen if the Japanese launched a catastrophic attack on U.S. soil. American public opinion changed drastically towards entering the war, and December 7th quickly became a call to arms.
A year has passed, and we do honor to our beloved dead who fell before the sneak Jap. We remember. Each of us gathered here today, safely sheltered. We remember. We remember the graves far away. Nurses, soldiers, children of Pearl Harbor. Stabbed in the back. But remembering is not enough. Hating is not enough. Sacrifices. Yes, no matter what. And what do they ask of us, the heroes we mourn? What do they ask of us, our marching sons across the seas? To stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Here at home to do the job of forging the guns of vengeance. They're marching now. The rhythm of our marching boys thrills the world. Avenge December the 7th. On to victory. Everyone in this theater can know the personal pride and joy of taking part too. Sure, you've bought bonds and stamps. But when you buy this week, mark in your memory their bonds of vengeance. When you leave this theater, stop and remember that cruel morning just a year ago. Each day this week in motion picture theaters throughout the land, Americans are remembering with vengeance in their hearts. Tears, too. Why not? Bonds are our weapons. Stop on the way out. You want to say what's in your heart? Say it with bonds.